Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mac's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamac.com today.
Hello, I'm Bowden. I'm so excited to be here today. Listen, y'all, I'm the author of the new book called Collect the Cash. Y'all see that? That's the new book, Collect the Cash. And I'm so excited to be a guest on the Sheila Mac Show, talking about 3 things around revenue recovery. Collections in business is 3 things. It's problem solving, #1, it's customer service, #2, and the secret sauce to recovering your money is absolutely gratitude. Look forward to talking to you more on the Sheila Mac Show. Take care, y'all. Cheers.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio.
If you are just tuning in, this is NBC Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac. And today we are going to talk about the exciting topic of finding money in your business or personal life that you did not know you had. So the first thing is understanding hidden assets. That's right. Have you ever heard the saying, money is hiding in plain sight? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. A lot of us don't realize the untapped sources of money that exist in our business and personal lives. It's like finding a hidden treasure, only it's hiding in your own finances. So, we're also going to discuss finding money in your business. Let's start by talking about finding money in your business. One of the easiest ways to find money in your business is by taking a closer look at your expenses. Are you paying for services or products that you don't actually use or need? Cut those out and redirect the money to where it is needed. So it's really important to look at your marketing money, because whatever your business is, whatever business you're in the marketing business. And if you don't have a business, you're in a career. What are you spending on to possibly get the better job or get maybe a raise? So that's something to think about. Where are you putting the money? Because 80% of the time, the money that's spent, like 80% of what it is that you're spending, it's that 80-20 principle, is going to stuff that works. And it could be that you have it reversed. So that's really important to look at. Where does the money come from? What is producing for you and what is not producing for you? Another way to find money in your business is by increasing your prices, which obviously everybody is doing right now. So this needs to be done strategically and with your customers in mind. But a small price increase can make a big difference to the bottom line. It doesn't have to be a major price increase to really add a lot. So now, what about finding money in your personal life? So a great place to start is by creating a budget. Oh, yes, the B word. When you know where the money's going, you'll be able to identify areas where you can cut back and redirect that money to where it's needed. Another way to find money in your personal life is by selling items that you no longer need or use. You'd be surprised at how much money you can make from selling items that are just taking up space in your home. So that's something that when I moved my main home to a place I've always wanted to live in, a vacation area, I had to sell so many things, and I was shocked at the money that I was able to get from just selling things that I was done with. And it was really interesting because the cost I would have paid to move those items, even furniture, I did keep some of my favorite pieces, but it it was actually, you know, the price of the moving truck and everything, especially now with gas, and this was a few years back for me that I did this main move. That cost was so much more than just going out and replacing the pieces, because there's always a sale. I was really, so really, if you're moving or relocating, especially long distance, that's going to be a big savings. It's not worth, you can update your design. A lot of the times also, like the design I had in my old house is not, it doesn't even fit with the new main house, because the house is a different design. It requires different decor to really feel aligned with the house itself, the house model. So, that's something to think about. And the other thing is you're also getting organized in your home. And I did have a great interview earlier on, and you can find prior episodes of this show on my YouTube channel. I store all my prior episodes, and that is at Sheila Mac Show on YouTube. So I interviewed a professional organizer who actually helped me organize for traveling years ago, and she does incredible work. And you think about the money that you save on just organizing from your refrigerator so that things don't go bad, especially now with the prices gone crazy with groceries, to just knowing where all your cleaning supplies are, how much you have, shampoos, conditioners, makeup. So you're not ending up buying even pens. I mean, just think about it. You end up buying something to replace something you already have because you might not know where you put it. And so it's really important. I actually had a professional organizing group that came out to the new state where I have relocated, and we set the whole house up in order in a beautiful way. So I just know how much I have of everything. At the same time, another important thing to do with all these crazy things going on in our planet right now, earthquakes, floods, you name it, it's just been an interesting time. And I pause for a moment to say send a prayer and a blessing for all the people in Turkey and Syria, the surrounding area that was affected by the earthquake, and everyone that's dealing with floods and crazy weather right now. It's important to have an inventory of what you own if you have insurance, and it's important to try to get as much insurance as you can right now to cover your home, even if you're a renter, so that your personal property would be at least recouped with some type of an insurance policy. And when you have an inventory of what you have actually, and you have receipts and copies of what you paid, all that helps if you ever were to need to file an insurance claim on anything. So I learned, and luckily I did that. I learned to do that years and years ago, and I did do that when I lost my home to a fire in California back in 2017. And at that point, I had moved I had the house for about 6 months, but I had just finished making it beautiful and perfect. You know how you redesign a house and make it yours? And it was like everything was exactly the way I wanted it. And then the fire hit. So luckily I did have that inventory, and that is a big save for just being able to recoup your losses as much as possible. So that is another way. Now, putting your newly found money to good use is important. Now that you've found some of the money that you've been looking for that you had, what do you do with it? Well, it's important to put money to good use, whether it's paying off debt, investing in your business, or saving for a rainy day. Make sure that you're using your money wisely. And I think right now, more than ever, having the emergency funds, having some backup money is really important to have first, and then to coordinate paying off any debt that you may have, and prioritize your purchases accordingly. And now we're going to continue with today's episode. I hope that you found this information useful and that you're ready to go out and find the money that's hiding in plain sight in your business and personal life. Don't forget to pick up a copy of my book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And now I have an incredible guest who is going to help us find even more money. All right. Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, to rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have special guest Dee Bowden. As featured in Forbes Magazine, Dee founded BCS Solutions to teach small businesses how to solve cash flow problems. After recovering $7.5 million for a large government agency, Dee recognized small businesses also fall prey to revenue loss because they don't collect the outstanding invoices. She is on a mission to serve business owners by sharing her three-step system. Dee has 10 years of financial recovery experience in which she collected over $10 million for several companies and other government agencies. Dee was featured in Black Entrepreneur magazine in the article Selling the Money Leaks: 5 Ways to Secure Your Cash Flow. And she was also featured on Thrive Global magazine in the article Money Matters. Dee Bowden helps entrepreneurs achieve financial peace. Dee is the author of Collect the Cash. The sale is not complete until the money is in the bank. Yes. Well, welcome to the show, Dee.
Hey, Sheila, thank you so very much. To your listening audience, thank you so very much. It is an absolute honor to be here today. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Woohoo!
Yes, and I'd like to start each show. Actually, this show came about because of my best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation.
Yes.
And this last, almost 14 months now, since the pandemic hit and everything else going on, we have had to deal with every situation that we couldn't even fathom before this. And so I like to start off by asking you if you have a time in your business or personal life where you experienced a tough situation and how you got back on track.
You know what, Sheila? That's a great question. Oh my gosh. So is it okay if I tell a story?
Yes, please.
All right, perfect. So the answer to that question, what had happened to me was this. About 15 years ago, I used to work for a small IT company outside of Boston, originally where I'm from. When you know how it is when you get hired for a company, they tell you, welcome aboard, here's your cubicle, this is where you're going to work, and here's I like to say, your box and your plant. Because, you pick up all your stuff, you're like, let me set up my cubicle. I'm about to rock this out. So I do collections, as we talked about. So I get hired. I go sit in my cubicle. They give me my list of accounts, and they're like, hey, Dee, we need you to recover $8 million. I'm like, what? Yeah, that part. I'm like, are you serious? They're like, yeah, $8 million. I'm like, y'all sold $8 million worth of IT services and products? Yeah, and our customers haven't paid. So I collect I get to work. I say a short prayer. I figure out that collections is problem solving, customer service, and gratitude. So I do all that. I collect $6 million in 60 days while working part-time. Now, you asked me about what happened. Where did I have to pick myself back up? The CEO of the company says, listen, we want to have a chat. And I'm thinking we're going to have a chat because we're about to get a bonus because, me and my collections team have collected all this money. He calls us all downstairs and says, listen, I want to thank everybody across sales, contracts, order entry, invoicing, and collections. My lane, we've made an executive decision. We're closing the business. You got 30 minutes. to go get your box and that plant and leave the building 2 months before Christmas. I'm sitting there going, I thought it was a joke because I thought he was being funny. And he was like, no, we're serious. The business is closing. You got to go get your stuff and leave the building like in 30 minutes.
Wow.
So I leave the building having worked really hard to recover $6 million. I'm a part-time person. I'm not full-time in this. I'm part-time. And I got to go home and figure out how am I going to do life? Because, I'm a part-time person. I got, back, just like everybody today, I still had bills and rent and stuff to pay. And I'm sitting there going, how did this happen? Like the rug got pulled out, not just from me, but 100 people lost their job. And so after I broke down and cried, I had a good boo-hoo cry because I'm like, that was a lot of work to recover that much money. And then to be told you're not needed anymore. So I had to seriously break down and cry. I had to really, go, you go through the emotions of, what could I have done differently? Was there any clue that I missed? And then I finally had to, put it in a compartment to say, okay, this is a part of life. Companies close, businesses close. They've closed for a variety of reasons, and unless you are at the sitting at the table when they're making those decisions, you're never going to know. You are the recipient of whatever decision was made. And I had to not take that personally and realize that this is a part of the life's journey. And yes, it sucks. Excuse me. It was terrible at the time. I remember that. Sorry about that. It was not good at that time. And I realized that that's not, I can't get stuck in that spot. You know what? I had to, I'm a person of faith. So I had to, look up and go, okay, God, you brought me here. There's obviously a lesson I need to learn. And then I got to figure out how do I get back up again. And so after a little bit, I was like, okay, I still like to solve problems. I still like to collect money. I still like to do problem solving. I still like to do customer service. And I still like to do what's above my head, gratitude. And I decided that I'm going to take those things as fuel to re-energize myself and still go back and do what I love doing. And then I finally, went and applied for another job. I got hired by another company and I got back on this journey. And I've been on this journey now for over 10 years. But out of that pain is how come I have a book now. And that's and I didn't make that connection until this past year, because I've never thought about telling my story or writing a book or sharing anything. I was just like, people go through this, especially if you work in corporate America, there's a chance that you're going to get let go. I mean, it happens to the best of us. And how do you not feel bad or internalize that part? And then how do you get the lessons? How do you, basically get back up again and believe that you have value, that you have worth, that you are, this was an incident in your life. It's not your whole life. And I think that's the lesson. Like it's part of the life journey. If you've never been rejected, if you've never lost a job, if you've never lost a parent, if you've never lost a dog or a cat or any other, thing that's important to you, you haven't really lived, because part of life is the ups and the downs. Right. It just is. And I think you have to learn, I think for me, the lesson I learned along with that was perseverance. How do you get back up after being knocked down? Because if you can't get back up, you will stay down and you will stay stuck in whatever the it is.
Exactly. Wow. And it seems like the more we get up after a tough situation, the stronger we become. And
absolutely. You get up with a fighting spirit. You're like, oh no. It's almost like if you remember the movie Gone with the Wind. I might be dating myself, but if you remember that scene with Scarlett O'Hara, I think she's hungry and she says, "As God is my witness, I will never." I think she said, "I'll never be hungry again." Well, there's a part of you, I think, when you get knocked down, you kind of get that I will never be here again. And then your fight or flight, your determination, your affirmations, your mindset, I think you just get this fight spirit that you're like, you don't like how you feel when you're in that situation. Let's just go there. You don't like how you feel. You don't like the fact that your whole life got, the rug got pulled out from underneath you. You have to go through all of these emotions, and then you have to, let me say, you have to choose to get back up again, because there are some people that get the wind knocked out of them. They don't choose. They're like, I'm not getting back up again. I'm not fighting. I'm just not going to do it. But I think for those of us who have something that's put on the inside of us, you go get that. You go get it. I think especially if you grew up in a family or a neighborhood or a situation where you watched your parents struggle or work really hard to teach you some things. If I think there's what you call it, resilience. You have to go find that muscle. You got to go dig. You got to go get that. And sometimes you just have to be broken down enough. You're like, okay, I don't like this part. I don't want to be here again.
Yes.
I gotta go dig and find that thing. And then, you are the only person that can, you can have your friends, of course, encourage you and pray for you and give you great books and all that good stuff. But at the end, when it's just you or you and God, if you happen to be a believer, you're like, all right, God, listen, I don't like this part, but I know you didn't bring me this far to leave me here. I need a clue and something that's going to make me get up again. And then eventually you have to make a decision that you are worth fighting for. And you're going to go, as Chris Cuomo says, you're going to go get after it.
Yes, that is so true. And so many times, obviously, in my life, writing this book, I wrote it because I lost my home, my cat, and my car in the forest fires in California.
Oh, wow.
I had, how do you get demoted in a day where you lose everything? I'm like, wait, I worked really hard for all this.
Right.
And it was gone. And there I was staying it was like a janitor closet at this little cabin in the hills that I rented out. And it was fully rented because everybody needed a place to stay.
Mm-hmm.
They all lost their homes. And I was in the little 400 square foot janitor shed. It didn't have a shower. It had a sink and a bathroom. And I had to make that choice. And people thought I was crazy. I was doing affirmations and playing positive music. And I had one of my sons, I have 6 kids. One of my sons loaned me a beater car and I fixed it up and I had everything positive around me. Within a month, so many blessings unfolded. And I realized I was being guided to something even better than where I thought I was supposed to be. And so that was the thing. And I had to really surrender to that, but also do the action steps that were required of me when they showed up.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And and first of all, you have just demonstrated what we're talking about, which is that perseverance. Because I'm sure there were other people that went through that unfortunate circumstance that were like, I'm just not going to be able to come back from this. And, it takes a strong-willed person to say, yep, I've lost all these things. I've worked really hard. I did this. I made sacrifices, et cetera, et cetera. And then to decide to believe God for better, to decide to really put, the words that are on the page, like to start declaring them, even though you can't see him, you don't feel it. There is no evidence that there's anything working. But you just got this mustard seed that says, okay, I'm gonna trust you in this. This doesn't make any sense, like nothing, like nothing. But because you promised that you were faithful, because you promised that you'll give me beauty, but these ashes, because you promised that if I trust you, you will give me double for my trouble.
Right.
Okay. And then you have to make that decision. I kind of, if I use my hands, it's like you have to make the decision. The decision is in the middle. You're at the bottom. Your decision's over here. And you got to bring yourself kind of like this so you can go
exactly
that part, and then keep walking it out. And yeah, and we all. I mean, I haven't had that situation, but I've had my own journeys. And it's like, I didn't get all this great for nothing.
Yes, it's one of those things that if you live long enough, you get to have those experiences. I remember as a little girl, my grandparents, we lived in Los Angeles, Southern California. So we have people from all over the world. as our neighbor. Basically, it's very diverse. And so these friends of my grandmother, these ladies were, oh my gosh, they were probably 70s and 80s, and they would come over and have tea, and I was 5, and I was in the room to be seen but not heard, but I was listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard the stories. One lady had escaped a concentration camp and lost some of her relatives. Another one, her husband died, and they looked down on her for taking over the business because it was back in a time when that wasn't something women did that much. And so there were all these different stories, and they were these stoic women that made it. And I thought, okay, when I grow up, I'm going to have my own adventures. And that's what it's going to be. And I'm always going to be like them. I'm going to get to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept their stories with me. It was probably one of the greatest gifts I had, is to have that, to hear real living history, real emotions, what it was really like, not a book where they take out the facts and they forget really important parts. And so that made all the difference for me. Yes. So I'd love to hear about your secrets and tips for businesses, small businesses, large businesses that have receivables and are not able to collect. What is the secret?
So great question, Sheila. So what's the secret? Everybody's like, you always talk about this thing called collect the cash. And what I say is that, collect the cash. The sale is not complete until the money's in the bank. So the secret sauce is 3 things. It's whenever you, I'll say it this way. You're usually answering the question, what had happened was. Because regardless in business, no matter what you sell, when you haven't gotten paid, the first question you're answering, you want to know is what happened. Mm-hmm. And I jokingly say that what had happened was, because the tip is, okay, you have to ask the right question. Not so much why didn't I get paid, but what happened? Because usually there's a breakdown in the transaction. Something went wrong. For example, you ordered 10 cents of sneakers. You only get 8. First question, what happened? Where are my sneakers? What happened to the other 2? I'm not going to pay you but 10 sneakers when I only have 8. I need you to answer the question. So collections, business to business collections is 3 things. It's problem solving, number 1. The what had happened was, why didn't I get paid, or what went wrong? Number 2 is customer service. Customer service is a variety of things. It's getting on the phone to find out the what had happened was, if there's 10 sets of sneakers that were ordered, I only got 8, I need you to do customer service. How come I don't have my other sneakers? Was there a problem with the order? Did they get lost? Did they get sent to the wrong address? Customer service is problem solving. And then, as you see above my head, it says gratitude. The gratitude thing is the real secret sauce, and it's saying thank you. Most people are like, D, who says thank you for getting paid? Trust me, I do on a regular basis. On a regular basis. And here's why. I've learned, as you were reading my bio, but more importantly, just my life journey, I've learned when you say thank you to the people who help you resolve a problem, you set yourself apart. The first thing I said before we went live, I said, Sheila, thank you so much for the opportunity to be a guest on your show. And you were like, oh, but I wanted you to know that I wanted you to know that I appreciate that opportunity. So I have, in my book, I talk about, collections is 3 things. It's problem solving. You're asking the questions. What had happened was, what's the disconnect? What went wrong? So you've got to take good notes when you get on the phone and find out what went wrong. So take good notes, number 1. Number 2, customer service. If you provided the product or service, you haven't, and they haven't paid you, you as a business owner have to go engage your customer and find out what happened. Mm-hmm. And if there's a problem, number 1, when they tell you, you're taking notes. You're writing down what went wrong. I ordered 10 sneakers. I only got 8. I'm missing 2. I'm not paying you. So you as a business owner want to tell them, okay, you know what? I want to apologize that you didn't get your full order. Number 1. Number 2, what can we do to course correct this and make sure you get your other sneakers and add in an extra pair? You're doing customer service. You are fixing the problem. You are smoothing the relationship. And then number 3, thank them. Because here's the thing. And as you know, and I know, in these social media streets, it takes 30 seconds for somebody to go live and talk about how bad customer service was. But if you acknowledge that there was a mistake made, and yet you or the business is working to solve this, and you express gratitude, number 1, for them still being your customer, and then number 2, for the chance to fix it, that sets you apart. The companies that we admire the most, they've been doing those 3 things constantly. That's whether they make a public announcement about it or not. They do problem solving. They do customer service. The people that, when you go into certain luxury stores, certain restaurants, that whole they give you a customer experience. They want you to have a great experience, and they're looking for you when you finish. If you do a survey, why are they doing a survey? Because they want to make sure if there's anything. What are they doing? They're doing problem solving. They're through the customer experience and through the customer survey. They're asking you, is there, could you rate us on a scale of 1 to 5? 1 being this, 5 being that, and they leave the little box. If you have any additional comments, please add it there. Why? Because they're looking for more information to figure out how they can do better. They can do better in their business. Well, and the same thing, that's what you do. When things don't go well, you're asking that question. You're taking responsibility for the error. You're creating, prayerfully, you're creating a better customer experience, and you're saying thank you. Thank you, number one, you didn't lose your customer because you messed up. Thank you, number two, that they're actually going to still pay you. And then number three, that you get a chance to course correct and set an example, for the next time they do business with you. So those are my 3 tips.
That makes so much sense. And when you think about it, as a business owner, you want to know when somebody's not happy. You want to know when there's a problem. And I owned gift stores for many years, starting at 23, going for 17 years. Mm-hmm. and then that was great. And I continued with businesses in different ways after I closed down. And with that, I loved having feedback. I would pay people. They didn't have secret shoppers back then. I would pay people to give me feedback. I wanted to know, because that feedback from those clients that owe money, even, that's going to save you and make you money. It's going to prevent future loss.
Right.
And that's what you really want. It's just incredible, because it's minor. Sometimes you don't see it because you're so close to running your business. Mm-hmm. And I would say, I can see my hand. It's so close to my face. I don't even know anymore what's going on in my stores. I need you to give me a different perspective, please. Mm-hmm. And I would pay them, and it would make me so much more money. It would make the people, my clients, the other employees, so happy, because that little thing that nobody wanted to say needed to be said.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the same thing in accounts receivable, because, as I've been on this journey, most people are like, D, nobody talks about this. And I said, I know. Mm-hmm. And I get it. I jokingly used to always say, most people would rather get a root canal than have to ask their customer to pay them for any money, because you don't, number one, you don't want to. There is a stigma that you might mess up the relationship if you have to go ask the customer for payments. Mm-hmm. I disagree. I believe if you have managed that relationship correctly, you should be. If it's not you, then there's somebody in your team that should be able to go find out. How come we haven't gotten paid? And if there's a problem, you're going to be proactive. You're looking to do problem solving, problem resolution, get to the bottom of what's wrong. And that's what business is. The reason everybody goes into business, whenever they sit and have something great to eat or drink, they get this great idea. I'm going to be the next whatever it is. Mm-hmm. My ... solves this problem. You and I right now, we go into a bookstore. You can go into Barnes and Noble. You can go into any section, self-help, business, sports, whatever. Every person who wrote a book said their process, their way of doing things is the best thing, And they're marketing it because they believe that it solves it. And they wrote the book, or they shared the story, or they did the video, whatever it is, because they're speaking to a particular market. You've got, okay, we can take burgers. You got McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. Mm-hmm. Three stores. They do the same thing. They are restaurants. They sell hamburgers, but McDonald's has its process of how they entered into the world. Burger King came up with have it your way, and then Wendy's has its thing. The point is, all three of them do one thing. They sell food, but they sell it in 3 different ways because they figured out there's a market. Wendy's figured out there's a market for how their burger. Burger King did the same thing. McDonald's did the same thing. Every business, every person who decides they want to make a difference creates something to sell into the market, whether it's a book, it's a product, it's a service, whatever, because they want to make a difference. And I think that when you decide to be a business owner, yes, of course, you're looking to make money, but I believe that when people really do it, it's because they want to be in service to others. That's why I'm here. That's my thing about being in service to others is because of what happened to me personally. And then, we just came through a year of watching. We were talking before we went live, all the different companies, theaters, restaurants, things that you like to do for fun. We haven't been able to do those kinds of things for fun for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't go to a baseball game. You couldn't go, if you like hockey, you couldn't go watch hockey. You couldn't go to the theater. You couldn't go listen to live music. All the things that most of us do to replenish our souls in one way or another, you didn't get to do that for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I both watched, companies and businesses and people's lives turn totally upside down. So, you talk about, bootstraps and broad straps. It's like, how do we get back up from this?
Mm-hmm.
Because not only have we just watched businesses close and things, we've watched over 500,000 people die.
Yeah.
That part. And, we've had to watch people lose their loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
And can't go say goodbye. If you were raised like I was, you went to you went and paid
Right.
you went and paid your respects. That's what you did. You went, you did all black, you bought a card,
Yeah.
and you signed a book and you paid your respects. People didn't get to do what we've taken for granted, that you would always be able to go do that.
Yes.
That didn't happen. So I think we have to look at the, how do you adjust to these things that we took for granted. And then how do we continue to still do life with dignity and respect differently now, because we have to.
I agree. And going into the losing a loved one, wow, to the funeral, however the culture, the family celebrates life or has that, it's part of the healing process.
Absolutely.
The community, it's connecting that helps everyone, the people that are surviving, that are still here. Mm-hmm. And it's just so important. And I'm glad I actually attended a few online funerals. Mm-hmm. And that was nice that we were able to do that. It was different. Mm-hmm. Because there's the hugging and there's so much to being together in community. So we've had to really come up with new things. And for myself personally, I have 6 children. I adopted three from birth. And one of my birth children, my youngest, did pass away December 21st, 2019. Mm-hmm. He had a heart condition since he was 15. And so passed away at 22. And with that, we were able to, it was right before the pandemic. So we were able to come together in community. But then that entire year, we were not able to even visit the graveside. Mm. And so when we finally did get to go and it was open again, it was some kind of healing in just being able to go, pay your respects, be there, be as a family coming together again, even. And so that's something that's so important, to figure ways to do that when we can't anymore.
Yeah. And to add, I'll add this little piece of that. There's the community, there's the food, and then there's the memories, and then there's the laughter. Because if the person was funny, you sitting down swapping stories, and you remember something hilarious about what they said or what they did, and that's also part of it. Because yes, you'll be in the dumps, or you'll be sad and you'll miss them, but that's the beauty of having the community, because you get to share those things, because you might remember something funny about that person, or do you remember this time, or do you remember that time, and that's that part that a lot of people did not get that part of the healing to do, was to reminisce and to laugh and share out loud. Hopefully what people were able to do was to find different ways to do that. But as we're looking at life, I think it really is, from the Lion King, it's a circle of life. It's that, and you've got to be able to celebrate the good and the bad. And then, to talk about the Lion King for a second, when Simba goes up the mountain and he takes his rightful place, that's that resilience we were talking about earlier about, you have to, come back from whatever it is that knocked you down and decide, I'm going to take my place. I'm going to take my place, and I'm going to stand strong again. And I'm going to, do it for me,
Yeah.
for mine, and I'm going to be an example for others. And I think that's why we're here today. That's what this is really all about.
Yes, yes, it's so important. In fact, that's why I started this show. I was invited on to the station after being interviewed as a guest. And then with that, I was like, I really want to give more resources. And then I found 211, and I get to share about their information. I don't know if you've heard of 211, but that's like a resource nationwide. Anybody that's in a rock bottom situation, they need help with mental health, they need help getting food on the table, help with rent, help with veterans, seniors, lots of different resources. It's all under 211. If you Google your 211 in your state or province in Canada, you will get that. And I put the intention, I have lots of resources in my book, but that's even more resources than I could even fathom being able to provide just by sharing about 211. And then every single person that comes on is sharing their story, their truth, and somebody listening needs to hear that. And, they may be a small business, and if they're able to read your book and start collecting some of the money that's owed them, that could be the difference between staying in business or going out of business.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I'm so glad you said that, because that's what the book is all about. The book is all about, it is not, so much about my story. It's more about the lessons that I learned, and then, deciding to share it. And just like we talked about, I don't want to see another small business or any business go out of business, because it's not just to business, it's to people. Those are families, whether you're first a family of one or a lot of people. It's your family. And that whole journey to, because you have to go down and get back up and then fight. And so I'm on a mission to teach you to do problem solving with your payments. If you haven't been paid, do customer service. And like I said, I really do believe in the power of saying thank you. I have watched it happen successfully over and over and over again. And I've learned that when you say thank you, it's like people I get that look all the time, like, thank you for getting paid. Yes, thank you for getting paid. Because here's the thing. When you go to, as a matter of fact, when you whether you have a business or not, when you go shopping, when you go and you swipe your credit card, you're waiting for these two magical words, transaction approved. You don't get to leave the store without those two magical words appearing on your receipt. And then hopefully your cashier person says, hey, thanks for shopping with us, or thank you. Or matter of fact, if they don't say it, at least it's written on the bottom of the receipt. Thank you for shopping with such and such. It's the same. It's gratitude. It's an intangible principle, but it carries so much weight. It really does.
Yes, I can go back to my gift store, opened at 23, and the heart of my store was community. So I actually worked with Job Training Partnership Act, the government, and there was a program that I was one of the leading stores that created this program for foster kids that were emancipating. Nobody wanted to hire them. I came out of the foster care system as a kid. So this was like, these are my people. This is my family. These kids are part of me, and I have to help. And so I created this training program. Over 200 kids went through my program over the years in my store. And that was the heart of the business. I ended up buying 5 buildings and paying them off in California for gift stores based on the fact that it had nothing to do with making money. I let that, but we did collect. Obviously, we did get our money to pay them. But at the same time, there was a heart to it. And so when you're on purpose, it doesn't matter what you're doing for work. You can create some type of a purpose beyond, where you're helping where you're giving back. And that can fuel you. And it just always brings success, because you're helping other people. And then you're blessed because you're giving back. You're not just out to take, you're giving back. And I think that made all the difference. My store had, the rule was, everybody that walks in is royalty. Everybody. I don't care if they don't buy anything. Everybody gets treated the same. And I had a very serious training about that. And we would go to the mall, and I would have them buy little things. And I'd say, wow, how did that feel when that clerk wasn't nice to you because you're a young teen and they didn't even say thank you? What did it feel like then when we went to Nordstrom's and they were so nice? and they thanked you and handed you the bag a certain way and did all these things. What was the difference?
Mm-hmm.
How do you want people to see the store and you? And, so that we had fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was so much fun. And you know what? When I did if you are closing your business down for whatever reason, when I did come to that point, it was about maybe 9 or 10 months before we decided to close that we already knew we were going to shut down and just rent the buildings out. And I literally helped every single employee find a better job than what I could even pay them.
Wow.
It made such a difference. We all became friends over the years. We still are friends. It wasn't like the business is closed and it's over. And so that was the difference in, if you can consider, if there's any way you can help your employees, if you do have to transition or slow down for a little bit due to all this craziness, that you can help them find work or give other resources. I don't know. It just made me feel better. These people were like my extended family.
Yeah.
So it was important to me, and it made a difference because even the clients knew that everybody was taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you just gave me a perfect example. Remember when I was talking about the creating the customer experience? You see, that's the beauty of when you have these conversations and you speak your truth. If you're speaking your truth, somewhere along the line, somebody's going to confirm what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's and that customer experience is important. Whether and also, I mean, I think that's a sign of servant leader. That's a sign of servant leadership, and that's what we're looking to do. I mean, you do it in your way, I do it in my way, and we both are. The goal is, basically this way is to make life better for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to make life better for business owners, so they don't have to close their doors, so that nobody else has to go through what I went through. So they learn these principles, and they'll create their own little problem-solving customer service gratitude moments, and they'll teach them to others, and you'll see the difference. And that's a blessing. So thanks.
Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah.
So now, where can people get your book? How can they find the book?
Sure thing. So you can, if you want, let me say it this way. If you want to get the book personally signed by me, you can go to www.collectthecash.biz/book. That's www.collectthecash.biz/book. If you don't want it signed by me, you can find it on all things. You can find it at Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million, and Walmart. But Amazon and Barnes & Nobles are the top two.
Awesome. That's wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And I look forward to getting the book and sharing it with all the businesses I work with as well. Thank you again, Dee.
Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate it.
All right. And for those listening in, stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages.
All right. I have found something magical, something new that I am loving. At this stage in my life, I have been switching to the cleanest, best, healthiest makeup, shampoos, facial products. So I did find an incredible makeup line, and they have been around quite some time. It is called Beauty Counter, and if you go to beautycounter.com/Sheila Mac, SHEILAMAC, or SheilaMac.com, and at the top of the menu, look for Natural Beauty. That will bring you to the site where you can learn about the specials and give clean beauty a try. I am just loving the difference it's making in my face. And one of the things that was really bothering me was a lot of the other products. I could not find eye makeup that wasn't irritating. So this is really like one of the few products I can actually wear around my eyes. And so I'm really loving everything. It makes my skin feel really clean and fresh. And so give it a try. Again, SheilaMac.com/natural beauty to learn more. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and I have some news for you. Yes, you. I'm celebrating my 3rd year now on the station and will be expanding the show to a global network as well. You may now find the Sheila Mac Show on all major podcasting channels, and if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, all the episodes are now available for viewing there as well. And I'm asking you for a quick favor. If you like the show, please help support the spread of this reboot channel on YouTube as well. My goal is to help as many people as possible through our interesting times to rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business and personal life. I also wanted to share a little bit more about how I got here, what I do now, and how designing a business career and life on your terms is more than possible at any age or stage in life. I am an enterprisingly forward-thinking consultant, show host, and best-selling author. But how did I get here? Well, I began my career as an entrepreneur and property investment strategist back when I was 23 years young, when I boldly quit my government job with NASA JPL to open my first of 5 large gift stores while also starting to invest in property. I got to work with some of the world's most loved companies, such as negotiations on leases with Warner Brothers and winning trips to London as the top-selling Crabtree and Evelyn provider in the U.S. for multiple years. My stores were built on heart as I gave back to the community I came from. So now, some of you know this and some of you don't know this, but as a young girl with parents who were not well enough to care for me, I was homeless at age 10, then in foster care, where it was really hard to get a job while in the system. I finally emancipated at the age of 15 to start college early. While running my stores, I worked with a government program. Back then, it was called Job Training Partnership Act, making my stores an open source training site where close to 200 at-risk youth started their careers. Yes, I began my career helping business leaders and working professionals to design a life they love where they can have success in their careers and get to the business of life. See, a funny thing happened along the way. When I first opened my gift store, it was kind of crazy because I was this young upstart. That's what a lot of the store owners called me. My first store was in Montrose, California, in this sweet little hometown shopping park with other stores and restaurants nearby. And so I was the young upstart that didn't know what she was doing. At least that's what everybody said. And I didn't really care what they said. At that age, you know, their opinion was like, I don't really care. So that was probably a really good thing because I stayed focused on what I needed to do. And I had negotiated to lease out a 5,000 square foot gift store that needed a lot of work, and I got free rent and for about 6 months, and I had to start making the rent, which was $5,000 a month, which was a lot of money back then, $1 a square foot. And so I had to learn and relearn. I finally did hire quite soon in the game. I did hire a marketing expert, branding expert, I guess back then, and that lady really helped me to figure things out when I first started. And when you first start a business, especially when you're young, it was like I had no idea what to do, but I needed to learn because my rent was going to start coming due every month. And over that time, I started having more success. I did crazy things like stayed open until almost midnight every night, along with the restaurants who were very close to my store, while everybody else closed shop at about 5 or 6 p.m. So I was making more money from the start, and I just really, my store was to help my kids, and the products I sold was whatever the community wanted. I sold lots of things to people in the entertainment industry. I worked with cruise ships. I worked with many different people in the community. And later on, the store owners actually came to me and asked me if I would consult them and help them. I actually started buying my other buildings because I didn't like the idea of paying rent for years and years and years and not building equity. So I did get my real estate license through that and invested and bought my other 4 store buildings. And lots of the other store owners worked with me, paid me to consult and help them do what I was doing. And I didn't really even know it was called consulting. I just knew how to figure it out, I guess. And so that's how I started my career. And now, I raised 6 children, all that, and now they're grown. And so I get to come to work every day and do what I naturally do best as an enterprising and forward-thinking business leader. Through my show, courses, and live events, I guide entrepreneurs and working professionals like you through the profitable steps of building a business, creation to expansion, marketing from planning to implementation, wealth preservation through strategic planning and, yes, real estate investing, and lifestyle design so that you can earn more while getting back to the business of living your best life. So I do invite you to tune in here to KCAA Radio, and also I would really appreciate it if you went to my YouTube channel, Sheila Mac Show, and gave a subscribe and a listen to some of your favorite shows. And I do have some other exciting things, including a free gift to thank you. So if you go to www.sheilamac.com, that's SHEILAMAC, SheilaMac.com, there you can get a free gift to get started on your reboot this year. And now back to the show. Tune in again right here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.